Hello everyone, my name is Graham Stanley and I am the British Council's English Programs Lead for the Americas based in Mexico City. And today I'm going to be talking to you about some of the offer the British Council has, which we are calling New Ways of Teaching, which is aimed at helping English teachers improve through their continuing professional development. So the British Council's New Ways of Teaching is to try and provide the resources and continuing professional development, CPD, that all teachers need. And every teacher knows it's important to keep up to date with what's going on and to continue to learn and develop our skills to become a better teacher and help our learners. And that's why we have this program. So why do we need new ways of teaching? Well, the British Council commissioned research during the school closures, which included surveys asking policymakers, teacher educators, and teachers how their professional lives had been affected and what support they needed. And you can download the research reports and watch presentations of what was found on the link that I've included on this slide. What did the reports show? Well, just to summarize, we had two main reports. The Research in the Americas of the School Closures Response and Analysis, or RASCRA, that report found initiatives that promoted collaboration spaces and the construction of professional learning communities was fundamental for the support and training of teachers. And good practices identified include developing and emergence of communities of practice, engagement of families in the learning process, building new channels for teacher participation in the decision-making process, and materials development. In the New Ways of Teaching report, which looked in more detail at the Americas and remote teaching and initiatives that teachers were doing during the pandemic, it was found a lot of things, including that teacher associations were a major resource for teacher education and professional support. Now, if you haven't had time to read the whole reports, you can take a look instead at a series of snapshots we produced in the form of infographics that gives an overview of some of the main findings. Some of the findings will be surprising and may encourage you to download the whole report to read. And this research is specific to the Americas and builds on more general research done globally by the British Council. And here you can see an infographic showing the main findings of teachers responding to the crisis. For example, skills for remote teaching was found to be part of a new profile, or teachers believe that would be part of a new profile for the future. Apart from the infographics, we also have data videos that summarize some of the main findings of the research. These videos show how the pandemic affected the Americas, highlighting the main challenges and how to address them. Why not take a look at them? Who knows, you might even find you can use them with students and start a discussion. The research that we carried out led us to organizing a series of monthly online events, and the topics were also chosen to coincide with the British Council's Teaching Pathways courses in order to provide the opportunity to add a regional context to the self-access training. The webinars were recorded and certificates of attendance given to any teacher who attended live or watched the recordings, which were available on the website. Now, we're going to continue with these monthly events and make the recordings available to teachers such as yourselves. One of our most popular webinars was on gender in English language teaching, coinciding with a short course, and featured well-known Argentine educator and academic Dario Banegas and Brazilian teacher and trainer Tamires Gama. And they shared their suggestions of how teachers can approach this increasingly important issue in English language teaching and shared resources and tips to help. So that's the type of example. That's an example of the type of webinar and recordings of continuing professional development that we make available. Each of the live events we hold, for each of the live events we held, we produced an information sheet to support it with highlights from the webinar and additional information, resources and links. And this format allowed you to go into as much depth as you wanted to. You can browse the infographic if you want an overview. You can watch the webinar and follow up on the resources for more. And you always have that infographic, the fact sheet, at hand if you want to follow up later if it's important. We also organized short courses which were hosted on the British Council's Teaching English website. This is the hub of what forms the largest network of English teachers in the world. If you aren't yet aware of the training and resources available here, then I recommend you sign up for a free account if you can. There's also no better place to start than with the monthly Teaching Pathways courses, which are all supported by community on social media. Apart from the live events, we have a series of tips for remote teachers, which are also relevant to teachers working in classrooms as well, to help keep your students motivated to learn. These are practical suggestions that can be read online or downloaded as fact files, and the videos are a fun way of learning about some of the topics. Apart from the videos, we have a series of podcasts which are in English, Spanish and Portuguese, and they reflect the experience of teachers, school leaders and policymakers in the region. The subjects covered include inclusive education, special educational needs, reaching students through TV and radio, gender equality in schools, and hybrid teaching, which is where you teach a combination of students who are in the classroom physically and those who aren't able to come for whatever reason, so they're learning from home. Now, let's take a look in more detail at one of the most important tips for teachers. If we've learned anything over the last 2 years, then it's that teachers need to find a balance between work and personal life. And in this tip about mental health for teachers, the authors give advice on how to handle stress and anxiety, and what teachers should do and keep in mind when continuing to develop skills as a teacher, but without ignoring your mental health. How can you keep in touch with new ways of teaching? Well, the best way of finding out what's available to you and knowing about resources and events is by signing up for our newsletter. Every 2 weeks or so, we'll let you know what's planned to help you with your continuing professional development. Just go to the British Council of America's website and add your details. I hope it's of interest. Every February too, we hold an online event for teachers called BBelt to help them with their CPD. This is the best and brightest of English language teaching, BBelt. This year's conference was very successful, and we also had a lot of participation from teachers from Cuba. Why is CPD so important? Well, starting out as a teacher, you quickly realize that your initial training course is only the start of the journey, and that in order to become effective, you need continuous professional development. Fortunately, there are frameworks for teachers now that enable us to understand that we don't know what we don't know, to self-assess and to decide what to focus on. This in the picture is the British Council's CPD framework, which is part of Teaching for Success, our approach to CPD. The one on the right is for teacher educators, and there are 12 professional practices identified and 4 stages of development in the teacher framework. Also listed is language proficiency and qualifications. I first started using this as a teacher many years ago, and I found it very useful to raise awareness of what I knew and what I didn't know, and it helped me make decisions about the direction to go in as far as my own CPD was concerned. As I found out later, it's just as useful when you're responsible for helping CPD with a group of teachers as when you have a large number of teachers. So I recommend you take a look at that. So that brings me to the end of today's presentation on new ways of teaching. I hope you found it useful and then you take advantage of the CPT activities available to you to improve as a teacher and to continue to help the teachers that, the learners that you teach. Bye for now.